All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. I'm here with one of my favorite filmmakers in St. Louis, Arch Films' own Carlos Hagene.
What's up?
Is here, and my buddy Shane Foster is doing some co-hosting with me today. I always love having Shane here. Big fan of Arch Films. Arch Films, you've been doing stuff for a long time here in St. Louis and worked with the 48-hour film festivals. You have your own how-to cooking shows that you produce. Always busy. You're always busy doing different things and working with a lot of people in St. Louis that I know, and always good things hearing from what you're doing.
As an artist, as you know, we always try to keep busy. You know, you're a tool, so you have to find unique ways to market yourself. You know, so I've been doing this. I started as an actor / model back in 2007. And then my buddy, Hagene, he's like, he was new in town, but I met him in an audition. And like, we just clicked. And he's like, I'm like, hey man, I got this company. And before Arch Films, it was called Midwest Entourage. And then someone told me, he's like, that sounds like an insurance agency. You need to change that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I was like, all right, hey, let's do this. You know, and here's the thing is, on a smaller scale, it's like, he wasn't getting a lot of roles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, so, and I get it. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to start buying scripts. I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. So he bought one. And he starred in it, and he called me up like, I'm going to have you direct. I'm like, I've never directed, so okay.
So before this, you modeled and were an actor, so you were just working with other filmmakers in
Yeah,
St. Louis.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, like, I had the privilege I'm very thankful for St. Louis bringing some of the Hollywood films here back around that time. So I got to experience, you know, when you're on set, like, for me, I'm a fast learner, so I'm like, if you're a DP, I'm gonna, okay, what are you doing, or what are you doing, you know?
Right,
so like, there's like 100 extras, and you know, you can network, and it's cool. I'm not against that, but I'm learning what everybody is trying to do, you know.
All the jobs on the set.
Yeah. So like, and then I'm, you know, someone says you're in St. Louis, but like someone also said like, well, you're everywhere. You travel, you know, for film and whatever. So I took all that experience, and I took acting classes too, you know. So So I took all that experience and knowledge and incorporated it into my first project, 7 Minutes. And, you know, you never know what your first project's going to be, you know,
Right.
but ended up winning 2 awards.
Wow.
And then he comes back again, and he's like, I got another short for you to direct. I'm like, we just finished this one. Really?
Right.
I'm like, okay. We did that one, and that one best short film.
So going to 7 Minutes was the first one you said your
Yeah,
first
yeah.
short film. So going from an actor into a director, what was the biggest hurdles you had like to overcome just being a director for a first time director?
I'm not gonna. I was nervous, and it's like, well, the thing is, it's funny because I've worked with these actors before, and some of these film crew who've worked on big Hollywood sets. So like I did them a favor, being on their projects, like their independent projects.
Right. So people would just a couple little favors.
So I'm like, hey, I'm directing that. How would you be interested in helping me out? You know. So it kind of worked out really well. You know, and I was really lucky to have my first film, but like we found a SAG actress, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, He-Man took care of all the paperwork for that because there's a office in Chicago that works on ultra low SAG budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, it really worked out, and it's like I just took a deep breath and just like took it in, you know. But you had to have the right elements, you know. It was just, you know, a skeleton crew, you know, but
Right.
like. It was fun. It was a romantic comedy, you know, and it was a blast. I had a blast on it, you know, so it was cool. And then the next one was freaking awesome. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's one the keys. What's great about you is the stuff that you directed, since you have that kind of actor's background. Some people get into directing and maybe they don't have that actor's background, so you kind of understand through an actor's eyes of how to direct them, right?
Yeah. Well, no, that too. And I mean, I took acting classes too, but then like the same buddy, he's like, hey, there's a Hollywood director's class in Florida. So I was like, okay, I'm down. Let's take a group down there, and we went down there too. And so I learned a lot from there, you know. So I learned a lot, you know, no disrespect to schools, but like just learning a lot from hands-on.
Right. That's how I learned like all the stuff I did. How about you, Shane? Was just doing photography? Was it mostly hands-on for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of just learning through trial and error and finding out what's good, and then learning, like looking at a bad photo and be like, okay, so if I did a couple things different, it would probably be a good photo. So like just a little bit of trial and error and like a lot of advice from other photographers.
Do you feel, this is a question for both of you, learning, looking at stuff to like bad stuff to learn what to do right, or looking at good stuff knowing what to do good? Like what's I find most of my stuff is looking at what people do wrong to figure out how to do it right. To teach myself, I don't know.
I mean, that's a good way to learn, but I think also you're kind of always trying to better yourself, right? We're always trying to better ourselves as artists. So like, even if you take like your best photo or your best like project or film, like you can always like try to like take inspiration and see how to improve upon it, or like at least figure out what like your next big thing is.
Well, another thing is, it's like I do a little photography too, and I'm really good at headshots. I'm not saying I suck at full body shots, but headshots is my thing.
Right.
But like, I work with other photographers, and I'm a fast learner, so I'm like, oh, okay, he's shooting at that angle, this thing, and if you're an artist, you're studying the art from other people,
right?
You know, from magazines, and now we live in like social media, so like, oh, that's a really cool shot. So you kind of you take that same concept, but then make it your own as well, and your own creativity too. You know?
Yeah. It's very easy to take inspiration from other people's work.
Right,
and just kind of making something of it your own.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So, yeah. So
after 7 minutes, you did your first directorial debut, and then this guy brought you another script, and then kind of what led to the next chapter?
And then that's when I met Julie, who's now my ex-wife, but like she was a talented writer. So,
yeah, I'm familiar with Julie. Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
Yeah. She brought me the script. She wanted to write a thriller. Called Mariah, and I was like, all right. So I brought in like the best people I can grab, 3 professional people, and we shot it in downtown St. Louis. And I don't know how my guy did it, but he was able to book, I think, is it the Metrolink or something like that? The buses.
Yeah, the Metrolink.
Yeah, we shot all the shots around the bus stops.
Wow.
And we even got on the bus. I'm like, how did you manage to do that? I mean, we're peons,
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm down with that too.
Yeah.
But it was really cold that day, like really windy that day. But no, anyway, back to Mariah, sorry. She wrote a script, Mariah, and I was like, and it was more like a PA, like missing kids. That's what she wrote, like having a missing kid. So it was, and I work with these 2 wonderful kids. So I mainly like co-direct and produce that, and while she wrote it, and that was her first experience like as a director, a female director. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
So making a script like that, what type of research do you do to kind of like get the ideas for just like?
Well, I the thing is, it's like I try to learn every aspect of filmmaking. So when I was acting and modeling, I was also learning how to all these positions, but screenwriting. So I belong to 2 different screenwriting groups, one small one and one big one. So I was the only actor in the group. So I was kind of learning how the scripts is formulated,
Yeah.
So I was like, I told Julie, like, all right, this is how you're supposed to write a script. So kind of like follow this. And she did it, It was about 30 minutes. I was like, I mean, that's pushing it, but we'll make it work, Because most film festivals prefer you to have, like, the less the better, And the thing is, it's not like the less the better. It's more like they'll accept it.
Right. I think they're trying to get as many films with different people in the film festival. So if they get the smaller ones right, they can fit 6
Exactly.
in an hour, yeah.
Like if you're pushing 20 minutes, I've learned from my mentor. He runs Ace Films. People call him Anthony.
Anthony Cabral.
Yeah, he's
Anthony,
my mentor.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He's in Chicago now. He's doing his thing.
Yeah. He said if it's pushing 20 minutes, you got to be like on point. Like like everything's got to be on point, because most film festivals kind of shy away from the longer film, you know.
Right.
Have you ever brought a project to a film festival that went over that time, but you were like super confident in it?
So once I learned that piece of knowledge, I know I was doing Mariah, and I was like, I mean, we'll submit it here in St. Louis, and it got showcased, but like, I just know outside of St. Louis, there's like, no,
right?
It was like 29 minutes. I'm like, it was pushing it, you know.
Yeah.
But typically, like, I buy my scripts from different websites, you know. So yeah.
And then, so you worked on that short, and then, what got you into doing some of the other projects you're doing? Because the one thing I wanted to kind of touch base on today was the cooking show that you do, the fan film. Which,
okay. Yeah, let's do. Yeah. Let's talk about the cooking show and the fan film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You want to talk about the fan film first, because kind of exciting, because Carlos came and used the studio I was at about 2 years ago, way before pandemic time.
Yeah.
And he was making this fan film for Star Wars. We filmed a little promo, and I pieced it together, and it got pretty good views right when we went out. But for whatever reason, the last month, it's just kind of gone viral, and it has 188,000 views.
Yeah, you know, when you messaged me, because I was asking, hey, for something else or some, I think a studio or something like that. Anyway, you're like, hey, did you know this video has gotten this, and this? I'm like, what video?
Yeah,
and I'm like, what?
We'll play a little bit for the audience here, and see him at work, man. He's always dressed nice, even if he's on a film set. He has style, folks.
Yeah, that's what everybody notices. Like, I did this interview for someone else. They're like, you know, always walking out of limousines or dressed up nice in shades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And come to find out, it's like, yeah, I do roofing. That was back in the day.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, you come from a roof? What? What? Where is this coming from?
So I just kind of give the backstory of this. I don't know if you guys finished this or not, but it was kind of just a Kickstarter thing you guys were working on right at the time.
Yeah, we needed something to present to go to Atlantic City, but it wasn't on time because one of our guys couldn't finish it or whatever. But this was a promo for our project. We're currently still working on it. Like a couple months ago in August, we went to California, Death Valley, to scout for some locations out there. It's the same location where George Lucas shot some of his the first film, New Hope, I believe. Yeah, so 117 degrees. A little hot.
Yeah.
So it was fun. And then just a couple of weeks ago, the producer just came from Chicago, and we were scouting some caves here in Missouri, which I didn't really know Missouri.
Yeah, they got a ton, actually.
Yeah, we're still looking for some caves because there's a certain look or whatever we need. So, yeah, we're still, if you know anything, hey, shout out.
Actually, I might do know somebody. Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely some pretty intricate like cave systems in Missouri. So this little state would be the place to look for your project.
Cave, yeah, that'd be fun. So for other filmmakers watching, like, fan films are really a huge market. People probably don't realize that. Like, a lot of upcoming filmmakers make fan films.
Right. So so what I learned is I did a superhero teaser fan film, the DC one, and then once I did a little bit more research, I was like, ooh, this takes a lot of work, and there's rights and everything else. So I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to keep pursuing this, you know. And then, because when you, as a filmmaker, you want the end game, and I was very fortunate for my two first films to win awards, you know. Since then, they went to semifinals. So as a filmmaker, when you make a film, well, what's your end goal? Well, me, I try to get into the film festivals, and that's the reward for everybody that's part of the project.
Yeah. Right.
So when Star Wars was presented to me, because I had another buddy that was doing it, I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I was like, okay, cool. It's a fan film, because you really can't go from fan films because they don't make money, for one. You know, but he had, I think there at the time before the pandemic, there was a Disney Star Wars competition. I'm like, oh. Then that's light bulb.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. So I started developing a script. So I'm like, I was kind of watching other ones, and there's a Darth Maul one from the group from UK. And
I've seen that. That's amazing shit.
That was like, okay, that's my to-go film right there. So let's make something like this. And then I started bringing more and more people in, and then my producer just kind of made it big. I already had a big concept, but he made it bigger. So I can't provide the details. I just know the script that we developed. He mainly developed it, but he took my concept. It's approved from Disney, but you guys got to fund it yourself. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now it's become a really big project. There's a lot of important people involved with this one. So and we're spending so much money on it. It's ridiculous. But I mean, we've been working on it for 3 years now. So, I believe we're hoping next year, cross fingers, the COVID doesn't interrupt or anything like that.
Right.
That we start filming the first part of the movie sometime in spring next year.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're still involved with it. So
right.
Yeah,
So
we're pumped.
That'd be exciting to see.
Yeah. Maybe you have the teaser, but the finished teaser, I did see it. You did send me the finished teaser that you did shoot. I don't know if it's on.
It's I think right there.
Trailer 2?
Yeah, trailer 2.
Okay. So you need me to be like your Jamie to pull stuff up.
Go ahead, make that full screen for me, Shane.
Yeah, I got
it. Right there.
So it's fucking awesome.
Thanks guys for tuning in.
Turn it down just so we don't get flagged, because that's those George Lucas folks out there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we have a disclaimer on it, so we're good.
Oh, I know, but they probably don't know that because we're broadcasting your broadcast.
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha,
sometimes it gets it gets flagged. So
that looks cool.
Anyways, that was amazing. Yeah. So
someone is when I say hey, we're doing this, and they're like, okay, but when they see the trailer, like, oh wow, this is something I would see in theaters.
Yeah. No,
So
it was great. Yeah.
When you start a new project, when you decide to start a new project, what's the first thing you start looking for? Do you start trying to fill the cast, or do you look for a good producer?
Okay, so it's really hard. But over the years, you kind of practice. You know how you say each project, you kind of learn from each project. You know. So what I do is right now, I just said I just released the next Arch Film schedules. That's included one of them. But apparently a lot of the filmmakers, or some of the filmmakers here in St. Louis, I'm kind of known for awareness in family movies. So the next ones I'm doing is I'm writing a PTSD film. So
I pulled up so we can.
Oh, sweet!
So
thanks.
the audience can see it here. So these are their 2022 to 2024 schedule for Arch Films.
Yeah, and if people realize why is it taking so long, I'm like, well, it takes a long time to do a short film, because you have to gather everything, So what I look at when I'm looking for a script, I look for, okay, is it easy to somewhat, as far as production aspect, okay, can I film there? Can I get this location? Stuff like that, And I always try to do a small cast. It's a lot easier, 6 or below, And then as far as time-wise, each page is about a minute. So I do 15 pages or below, so that's what I look for. And then I already, you start gathering your film crew, you start kind of you have your own group, but then you start messaging them hey, because it takes time. I usually plan mine 3 or 4 months ahead, so I'm very particular and very somewhat organized, and I have a partner that helps me out too. So.
Well, just to get all those people together in one day, and the locations, the props, the people, the crew, that just by the hour, that costs so much money to have. If you're going to pay just them a little bit, even if it's just paying food or whatever. But so you got to have it's all about pre-planning, right? With film.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of planning, and then you got on top of this, you got a job.
Yeah, they all got their day jobs.
Yeah, so
it sucks.
Yeah, so no, but I enjoy. I mean, it is a headache, but I enjoying this, and I'm so used to doing this anyway. So like, this is what I do, you know. So yeah, and go ahead.
No, it's kind of like you being with your cooking show. Is like
That's what
being
I'm
a
bring
cook.
up.
Yeah. It's like getting all the little recipes and putting. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for the cooking show, okay, so what brought that idea was, I was supposed to team up with a because YouTube is so huge, it's a huge platform. So my idea was going independent 101 filmmaking. I had it all planned out in a notebook, and we even talked about it, but somehow he went MIA. So it just sat there for a year. And then I'm like, oh, let me incorporate cooking.
Yeah.
And then the cooking, it was more of an educational aspect for independent filmmaking. So what it is like, I'll bring a cool chef in, and then we'll pick, I give like, hey, pick out your 5 favorite recipes or whatever, and then I send it to the guest. And there's always a theme. Like, one is like healthy. Like, I had this one episode where it's all organic. The chef was organic, you know, and vegan. And so my 2 guests were also fitness people and vegan and whatever. So we incorporate that. So how to stay fit in the industry. I think that was the title or something. So there was always something that related to the entertainment industry.
Right. So we'll show a clip here. Is this a good?
So this was
a good
my
episode.
I mean, it's good, but I'd rather have you do a different one.
Okay. Let me pull it back. Jamie, pull it back, Jamie. So.
If you look up on search, look up Cooking with Carlos, because you're on my Arch Films.
Oh, okay.
Because I actually have my own. Yeah, there you go. Cooking with Carlos. There you go. And it should pull up with my logo. There it is.
Okay.
Logo.
So we'll go on this one.
I get some binging with that. Wait.
Yeah. So go to all the videos. Yeah. Go down to what is it? Yeah, staying
fit.
Staying fit right there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'll
Shane.
take over.
Okay, good. Well, we gotta wait. We'll
Yeah,
talk through the ad real quick.
I also hi Dana. I had another episode where it was all female filmmakers. So
that's cool.
I had my ex-wife Julie, and then the SAG actress that was part of my first project.
I might have seen a part of that one.
Yeah,
that's a
so we had that.
episode,
Yeah.
Okay.
So good graphics here. I'll turn up the volume a little bit so we can
Yeah.
hear.
She was awesome.
Yeah.
Nancy Van Hook.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know Don.
Yeah, I work with Don a lot. So by the way, I cook, but I let the professionals handle it, and I just have the benefit of eating their good food. Hi guys,
Right.
welcome to the show, Cooking with Carlos, and today's episode is staying fit in the entertainment industry. And today
Should we
have a special
skip ahead
chef.
a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
That would be Nancy Van Hook. Yeah. And what?
To be here.
Oh yeah. You'll need to speak up a little bit.
Yeah, go right there so they're in the mix of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the recipe you guys were making in this video?
Let's see, enchiladas or something like that. Yeah. So all this setup you don't see in there, but I had a GoPro on top of that oven, looking down.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had shots of that. My DP, Derek, he was helping me out, and it had like 3 different cameras going on, and then a hand camera. So it was like all different shots for him to work with. You know?
Right.
Do you ever have to worry about like steam fogging up the GoPro lens or no?
No. Luckily, I was okay with that on this part. You know.
That's how we
And another thing is, over the years, since I've been doing filmmaking since 2011, you kind of start gathering small equipment and just kind of building up from there.
Right.
So by the time I got to this, I was like, well, I got lights, and he had film equipment too. So we just combine our sources, and I'm like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, it looks good. The production looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is cool. Looks like something you'd see
it cost quite a bit of money at first, but then it kind of balanced it out once you do more episodes.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, it's already better than Great Day St. Louis or whatever that Channel 4 show is when they're doing the cooking. So some of that stuff's horrible, but anyways, hopefully we're gonna be watching. But
No, especially if you're in the entertainment industry. So it's amazing that you said you do a lot of work on the weekends, because I know you can skip to the guest if you want.
okay.
Yeah.
Most days
What I like about you do a great job hosting, because they talk a little bit about the creation of the food, right? But then you kind of go into them, and it goes back and forth. So it has a really good flow.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted was like when I picked her, she had a really interesting background. She had you know like a failed marriage and blah blah blah, but she was also in entertainment. She was a model, blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay. So I always try to find like, okay, how are you involved in with the entertainment? But I found out she's also cooking. So I was like, oh, let me incorporate this, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I always try to get that involved.
Now, do they have to be a great cook?
No, they don't.
Okay, I could come in and do some like microwave stuff if you need.
Yeah, we need a little bit more. a little bit more.
He makes a mean bag of popcorn, guys.
Mean bag of popcorn. Back
Yeah,
there.
right.
That'd just be a short, like 30-second episode.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'll yeah, there's the guest. So
Oh,
then I'll
there's-
bring in the guest,
yeah,
and the
Don.
chef is no longer there, but we have our food, so they're eating it, and then I interview those guys.
So it's kind of like an interview / like dinner party kind
Yeah,
of.
it is. It is.
That is really interesting.
kinda
I like
Yeah.
that concept.
I did a lot of thought in how I want this cooking show. So people keep asking like, "Do you know any more?" Because I would love to be part of it.
Yeah.
No, it's a great concept, and I think that's just even do it with other people other than actors too.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm hoping to bring in like Joe Hammerstone.
Yeah, Joe's great.
He does all my IMDb. I mean, I kind of know how to do that, but I was like, he's very proficient at it.
He's been on. You were hosting when he was on the
Yeah.
podcast. You say any movie, he'll tell you exactly what date it came out.
Yeah.
It
It's,
doesn't matter-
it's
it doesn't
creepy.
matter what
You
movie.
or Joe?
Joe does.
Joe will.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Just tell him a movie, he'll tell you exactly what date it came out.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to I want to bring him in and just educate. Like, okay, so the IMDb aspect of it, why it's so important to have one as a performer, like either a film crew or as it's basically your calling card if you don't have an IMDb, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna bring him in, and I'm just trying to see if I can get a good chef, you know. So yeah.
I think this show's golden, man. I think keep doing this show. This show's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of work though.
And probably I can see it being a lot of work. There's a lot of camera angles, a lot of different setups, and probably just prepping the food alone.
From the first episode, I didn't mean to interrupt
no,
you.
you're good.
From the first episode, you learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
To you start going, okay, this is what, as you said, improvements. So I had to buy more film equipment, like a lab or one of these things hanging from here. Like
Boom,
we just, me and Derek, we were just like, okay, how can we make this improvement? So I would go on Amazon or whatever and like, or other film links and like, okay, I need to buy that. I'm like, wait, that's really expensive. I'm not sure if can we not do that?
Right.
and cheat somehow?
Yeah.
So you find creative ways to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even if you do have to break the bank and get like equipment, the good thing is you can kind of repurpose that for like future stuff. So.
For sure. And then another thing is I go shopping with the chef.
Oh,
and
really?
I pick up the bill. I'm like, hey, we need this, and this. I'm like, all right, cool. This is what it. So I try. If you know, it's kind of set up pretty good.
Yeah, it's a great. It's probably a costly bill though with the wine and the organic food and all that stuff. Probably is
That episode, yeah, that costs quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, in the end, it's educational. You know, that's
Yeah.
the whole purpose of it.
Well, I think it's a way that like the audience can learn about cooking, but yet they can also get to know these people too. So it's a win-win.
Oh
situation.
yeah, you know, she was new, so it was fun to working with her. Yeah, so you know, I there's so many talented here. It's unheard of, but you know, it's St. Louis, so like.
Yeah.
So, quick question on this episode. Those two were in fitness. They were like fitness instructors, or
Okay, yeah, she's a fitness trainer or something like that, and she's a veteran. She's just getting started.
oh, okay.
But like they're both vegan or organic or stuff like that.
So I was going to ask that question because that's an interesting concept. If veganism necessarily equates to like healthy, you know?
Yeah,
what
I
'Cause
mean-
I'm sure it does, but I feel like dietary routines,
Right.
routines are kind of different.
Well, when
based
I
on
talked about it on that
person.
episode is not necessarily like, hey, because I've never eaten vegan, so that was
Yeah.
my first. So it was good food. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just I wasn't saying like, hey, you should become vegan or any by any chance.
Right.
But no, I would discuss with the chef like, okay, in the industry, you know, as a performer, you have to keep a certain composure.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to stay fit. You know. You want all that glamour, but guess what? It takes work to get that glamour.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
stay fit and eating whatever, you know. So it's like, oh man.
And physical fitness definitely plays a big part in that too as well.
Yeah. So
you talked a little bit about the talent of St. Louis, and I did want to talk to you about that today. It's just like it feels like St. Louis is so overlooked with the talent, especially in the music industry, but I think the film industry too. There's so many great filmmakers that we know personally here in St. Louis, and just some great actors. And you know, why do you think that is? Why do you think St. Louis really hasn't got its like?
Well, there's a couple of things for that, and I'm going back in '07. You know, a lot of it has to do with the tax credit. You know, and that's people are still. It's really the governor. You know, it's just like there's so much here, and there's a lot of like scenic areas here.
Great,
you know,
a lot of great locations.
Yeah, not just St. Louis, but look out of Missouri, the state of Missouri. Just travel 2-3 hours away from St. Louis, and you'll find great, you know, scenic areas. And there's a lot of small towns, you know, stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's a lot of it has to do with tax credit. But another thing is, unfortunately, there is. I mean, it goes in every city, but there's those egos that come in handy, and it's like me. I'm very picky who I work with now because I have that ability. But like, you know, when you have those egos out there, and it's like really hard to get this out there. So what I do on a marketing level is, and I love marketing, so I hire. Most of my films are diverse. That's what I'm also known for. But I'll hire a couple people from out of state, and for that reason is usually people have 9 out of 10 usually be people on my set like, wow, this is awesome, and basically I spoil them because I usually have a really big set for a small film. Like one time I had like 30 to 60 people, you know. But if I hire someone out of state, just a couple, and they have a good time on there, they'll go back to wherever they are. Like, dude, good people in St. Louis, man. So that's the word of market, you know?
Right. I remember listening to the commentary Up in the Air, and then the director was talking about how great St. Louis like extras and actors were, and how great the
like if you give us a chance, and people, and it's that hunger, you know, give us a chance, and you'll find great talent here.
There's been some really great short films, even some feature films made in St. Louis, and it just you know, I'm just waiting for the day that one of them are going to hit. You're going to see them on Netflix or Prime, and
that's all videos. We're all trying to do, you know, grind, you know. So like, you know, you hear this saying, it takes that, especially in the music industry, you get that one chance, but you have to get it on the dot. So it's become this Star Wars film project that we have. So even though it's taking some time, and COVID did not help either.
Right.
But this is my one time. So in the meantime, I got these other projects going. So, and what I do is I have a big project, and then I have my small projects. So once the big project hits wherever, then I have my small projects hitting the film festivals. So not only I'm marketing myself, but also the actors. So, yeah.
So how do you manage a set in the time of like COVID or post-vaccine? Like,
so good question. That's a very good question. 2020 was a bust, so I had to drop one of my film projects. I just returned the script to the writer. I was like, I can't do this. But I kept some of them, and just by learning from other filmmakers that I've been involved with during this pandemic, they have, you know, contracts and stuff like that, and I honestly, I'm afraid, to be honest with you, because I don't want to be responsible. Like, oh, okay, you got COVID, and next thing you know, a month later, passed away. I'm like, oh, I don't want that on my background, you know. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers. It kind of lights up next year.
That, and like, let's say you have somebody that comes on, has COVID, and gets tested positive, then you have to shut your production down. You know, and then you know how it is set in certain locations. You can only have that day or that, you know, certain time.
That's the headache, right?
Yeah. So right then, you know, it's a jeopardy. It's like could be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Usually,
so it's I'm just hoping next year it kind of lightens up. Yeah. I'm itching to do these projects. You know.
Have you filmed anything post? Okay. So
no, someone told me like you should do it. And I'm like, no, I really don't want that, you know. And,
Yeah.
well, you take extra precautions. I'm like, yeah, but it's already a headache to do one of these.
Right.
Now you got to add COVID and stuff like that. And I'm like, geez.
Yeah.
I give props for the people that are still doing this,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, so I'm kind of like, I'm just kind of waiting, honestly.
All right. You talked earlier about Anthony Cabral. I think I said his name right. Tony, if I said it wrong, send me an email for the Ace Films, because I look up to that guy a lot too, because we did a series way back in 2012, which is a long time ago. But he came and directed a couple of the episodes, and definitely a mentor of mine. I looked up to that guy, and he taught me a lot. What's some other filmmakers in St. Louis that you think are like the top of their game right now, or at least the top in the 5 years? I mean, I can name off some of my few. Chris Gregg is one of them. Chris Gregg is amazing.
Chris Gregg. Oh, I heard of that one.
Yeah, he did.
Is it Chris Gregg or Chris Benson?
It's Chris Gregg. He did Rhineland. He did back in the day. He did Game of Their something like Game of Their Lives, and he also did like Amphetamine back in the day. This is like 2000s. I'm talking.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
but he's still doing some stuff, and he's a great filmmaker. I just had James Dean on. He did that zombie. No, it was the nun zombie film that just went out, and those are some filmmakers I look up to.
Here in St. Louis, oh man, it's been slowing down really. So I want to work with. I think he's like one or two in my book is Avera, the DP.
Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah,
I met him, but I haven't got a chance to work with him. Let's see. You know what? On the top of my head, I honestly don't know. Sadly.
Yeah. I think other players in the game. We got like what Kevin Edwards does, the Local Ambition show.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the guys always putting stuff out. He's working on a short film now.
Season 10 should be coming up soon.
10 season. I mean, to be a long running show like that in St. Louis is unheard of. So
that's a great accomplishment.
Just to keep being able to do it year in and year out like that. So I definitely tip my hat to him.
Yep.
Some other filmmakers that have come through here. There's a lot of great music video directors that I've noticed have come through the podcast. Some of the actors you talked about, Don Bradley. We had Joe Hammerstone on here. Lindsay Harmon's a great actress. What's some other great actresses and actors that you've worked with that kind of like your go-to people?
My go-to. Oh man, there's so many. Off the top of my hand. They're not here no more because they moved to LA.
Well, a lot of them do that, yeah.
Yeah, like there was James Tweedy.
He was good.
He was good. Wow, you put me on the spot.
Yeah, I know. That's like the toughest questions when you ask people the name game. The name game is the toughest one.
Another person we've had on our podcast, Kimberly Michelle.
Yeah,
she was a good actress.
Yeah, she was good. She's up and coming. Yeah.
She was on one of my shows, Angela Rocca.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
she was my SAG actress. Yeah. So she was top of her game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's there's quite a bit of. I just can't name one right now. But no, there's quite a bit.
What's the process for being a part of the guild from an actor's standpoint? Like being a part of the Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, okay. So, see, some of this information, I want to share on the YouTube my cooking show. Mm-hmm. So if you like, I want to do an episode for like photography or whatever. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, okay. So there's what I've learned is. If you're on a project that's union, like at least 3 times, you can be an extra, The SAG people will contact you through a mail, like, hey, you need to sign up for Guild. And that stuff is expensive.
Right. It's really,
Yeah, expensive,
Meaning like paying your dues and stuff?
Well, no, just like, all right, I'll fork out $2,500. And then your annual dues is like, I think it may have went up, but 150 or 250, something like that. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I know some of the SAG actors here in St. Louis. They dropped it because there's not a lot of union work here, so they prefer to work on non-union. You get the thing is about working on non-union is depending on the project and who's involved is they want the experience.
Right.
That's your art. You keep going. There was a clip. Hilary Swank. Do you remember her? She did the $1 Million Baby, I think. Yeah. And she went on the talk show. She just won an Academy Award for that. And she went on, who's that comedian? Not David Letterman, another one.
Jay Leno
Jay Leno, yeah. And he's like, so what are you doing next? He's like, I'm taking an acting class. I'm like, you just won an Academy. You don't need that.
Yeah.
No, you always have to hone your skills all the time.
Right.
So what I'm getting at is you got these actors. They want to act. That's their calling card. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So yeah.
But if they're only waiting for SAG jobs, they're not going to get the work to keep sharpening their skills.
My 2 cents on that is, you want to become SAG, I'm all for it. Like, even my agents, like, Carlos, I'm all for it. But you're better off going off to a bigger city like Chicago or LA, because there's more opportunities there.
Right.
You know, so not so much here in St. Louis. So.
Right. So we talked about the cooking show, the fan film. What's some of your dream projects? What's some of your dream projects out there? If you could,
besides,
if you could remake any movie, because Hollywood's all about remakes and redos.
I hate that. I really do.
Yeah.
But would there be one that you'd want to do?
I do. I've been. It's in my mind for a couple of years now. Is who's I'm a '90s kid or '80s or whatever.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
So I've been thinking in my head how I would love to approach this, but when I come to that level, is I would love to do a prequel to the first Ninja Turtles.
Ooh.
I called it Splinter.
That would be cool.
The original one, yeah.
Yes, the original one.
Because the original one is like the biggest independent film of all time.
Yeah.
People probably don't realize that because that wasn't made by any studio. And I can still watch it today, and it's still good. Like the lighting, it's like it just has a unique kind of look to it.
Yeah.
And
it was grungy looking.
It was grungy, and it was neat. Yeah,
it was great.
I would love to recapture just that look, and if I made a film like that, look was really
my
amazing.
idea is, and if someone steals it, great. Splinter, just kind of do the background of Splinter leading up to the first film. I think that would be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah. I would do Voltron. I would do a live action Voltron.
Yeah, there you go.
I would do a live action Voltron. That would be my thing.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
So we're talking about like remakes of movies.
You get the budget of the lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah, you get the.
Well, there's 2 projects I would try to do.
Yeah.
If I had all the money in the world, are you guys familiar with the video game franchise The Last of Us?
I've played it before.
Phenomenal story, amazing story. I think if you have some decent actors in it, you'd have a killer movie.
Well, did you see the trailer to Uncharted?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I think it looked good.
Is that with Toby? Not Toby. Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
And then Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, it looks
Mark
interesting.
Wahlberg does not look anything like the video game character.
Okay.
Like the guy he's supposed to be playing, but that's fine. It's a different spin on the character, I guess.
So, we're talking about... I'm sorry, go ahead. What was the other one?
So another one, there is a book series called Among the Hidden by Margaret Peterson Haddix.
Okay.
It was one of my favorite books as a kid. Basically, it's about like in the future, you're not allowed to have more than 2 kids. So there's a bunch of like secret third children in the country, and they eventually like
especially this day and age.
Eventually, they kind of topple the government or the people that's in charge of making sure you can't have more than 3 kids. So I think that would be an interesting series of movies, or just one full movie to do.
So I talk about the next. I'm actually impending on 2 horror scripts right now. I said I would never do a horror script or horror film.
Yeah.
Because doing horror, it's they say in the film business, it's kind of like an easy platform to do to get into Hollywood. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, but I'm just not. I mean, there are some really good ones out there, and a lot of crappy ones.
Yeah.
But I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm actually jumping ship and actually gonna do 2 horror scripts right now that I'm a video maker. I'm a streamer now.
Yeah.
And I've been playing this game called Dead by Daylight.
Yes. Yep.
So and I just thought of this like a week ago, and I was like, how cool to make a short movie out of that.
Yeah.
And I would call it The Huntress.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I think they have their own killer.
Yep.
I think that's their own.
Yeah,
game.
that's a playable character.
Yeah.
In that game. Yep.
The Huntress, and I'm thinking, brainstorming in my head. I'm like, okay, how would I make this? You know.
Right.
So I think that would be really cool.
That would be cool. Now, St. Louis is a big horror film scene. Like, there's a lot of filmmakers who do a lot of horror movies in St. Louis, and I'm the same way you are. I don't really want to do a horror movie, but like when you work on a horror set, like the energy is so much different because everybody's just having fun. Oh, everybody wants to be a zombie. It seems like it's less ego and more of kind of it's more of a fun atmosphere to making a horror film than I think a different type of film. It's just my opinion.
No, I've been part of it many years ago. Ryan Gregory was doing quite a bit of those.
Yeah. I remember him. Yeah.
He's a father now. Congratulations to him. I think he's doing a big feature film next year, and yeah, I was being part of it is like, oh wow, this is interesting. You know, so I've been on a couple horror flicks. It's like, yeah, it's a different atmosphere.
Do you find it like a unique challenge to do a horror movie or a horror film or project as opposed to doing like something more towards like comedy or action? Because like it's hard to kind of generate like a genuine response out of the audience.
Oh,
with horror, like
I'm gonna go through that journey next year when I pick out a horror script right now. So this should be interesting. So that will be my first for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because I would assume like it would be kind of challenging to make a horror film or project, like because a lot of horror films nowadays you see they rely very heavily on like jump scares, which is like just kind of cheap, like gotcha, kind of scary thing. But there's other horror films that are like genuinely scary that are very suspenseful.
Yeah, I like the
and
suspense.
Yeah, just like building up that kind of like reaction from your audience. I feel like that would be a very unique challenge in itself.
As a director, I always try to find scripts that are somewhat challenging. So this will become challenging for me for the two horror scripts that I'm looking at right now. So yeah.
It reminds me of that movie Uncut Gems. Like a lot of people watch it and they're like, I hated that movie. It gave me so much anxiety. I'm like, well, that was the point. that was what they wanted you to
that
feel.
was the goal.
That was the formula, yeah. It's you can only I think Steven Spielberg said with Jaws, like you can only scare the audience so many times, and so it's all about the build up.
Right.
Well, no, okay. So that being said, that you also you have to have the right actors and whatnot, but it's really two main key points on a bigger scale as far as film projects is the editing and the music.
The music,
yeah, the music. On the smaller scale, in the independent film, it's usually the sound that's very important, and the lighting.
Right.
So,
I think that's the biggest mistake with most local films I see is the sound. Is always the sound.
Yeah, like on my first show, the sound was just like horrible. It's like, okay, we got to fix that. We got to buy something. So I bought a lot of lav mic and bought one of those booms so we can catch it. So yeah, you're always, like you say, you're always improving.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll get 10 minutes left. Just some of the things when you break down the scene, when you direct the scene, like what's your process? Do you go for the master first and do the close-ups, or do you?
Okay, so what you do when I break through the script, I look at like, okay, obviously locations and what kind of shots, but like I'll sketch. I mean, there are storyboard artists too you can hire, but I said, okay, you want your three main shots, okay? You want your master shot, your close up, and your mid range, and then I try to squeeze in at least one or two creative shots in there.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I do, and it's challenging sometimes.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it matters. It's like for me, this is my process, and then maybe you can add on to it. But like, if one actor is more seasoned and the other actor's not, and so maybe the other actor's having a little trouble with that scene, I'll do the close up of the seasoned actor first, maybe do the master, that way everybody gets the blocking down so everybody knows the movement, and then go over the seasoned actor, that way it gives the a little bit more rehearsal time, a little bit more, let them kind of relax a little bit, and then do the
well, what I do is and when I start filming, and I remember a producer I work up for Steve. He's in Springfield. He's my first AD, and we worked on this project. It was an anti-bullying movie, A Reckoning. 4 months straight we worked, and it was somewhat annoying, but it was useful because I was at work. He'd be calling me every freaking time, even though he's busy too. And I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, it was great working with him, and I'm hoping to get to work with him. But the thing is, when I got on set, he knows what I know. Your first AD should know what you know. My DP needed stuff for his film equipment or whatever. So I'm like, all right, it was like a 6 a.m. call time.
Right.
So I went to the Walmart, and my other producer's like, where's the director? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, she didn't understand that him and I were working 4 months straight. So like, I was not worried. So when you trust someone, like, you got this. I got to go take care of this and go buy whatever he needs.
Right.
So as far as what I do is I try to prep the actors way before we start shooting. Like, I'll call them, like, hey, write some notes down. This is what I want. Practice it with someone, whatever. I'll even come to you, whatever the case is. But for me, when I go on set, I know on Hollywood sets, the rehearsal takes freaking forever. For me, to speed up the process, because time is money, and also obviously you have lighting to deal with if it's exterior shots and stuff like that. I'll have the actors rehearse, because it's going to take. I give in my call time. Let's say your call time is 9 for the film crew, and then I give the actors like, let's say 9:30 or 10, because I give them about an hour, and then I give another hour just in case there's hiccups.
Right.
It takes a slow start in the very beginning of the filmmaking that I do, but once we get that mesh and we get that vibe all going, we make it up towards the back end. So yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Trying to think some other things I do too.
Are you trying to fill space, or are you trying to get rid of dead air?
No,
Okay, I did have a question.
Yeah, go. Yeah. That's what
I had a question for you too before we started this, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, like, which genre do you like to do the most? Because obviously you've done a lot of different genres, like romantic comedies, and now you're going to do some horror.
Is going to be different.
Which one do you like to stick with?
Have you dived into comedy? Like, real? I mean,
my first one.
Your first one, okay.
The romantic comedy one.
Okay.
What I do is I'll look at the script, like that first one. He presented to me, and I'm like, okay, somewhat funny. I was like, can we add some more beats? So what we had to do was, I asked him, like, can you ask the writer to add a couple more beats? Like, here, I'll look at the script. I'm like, can we add this? Because it's a comedy,
right?
You know, and the writer had no problem adding more beats. So what was your question again? Oh yeah,
it was like just in general, which genre of film do you like to do the most? Comedy and drama is my main, and then obviously I do a lot of awareness movies too. So yeah. I haven't done any action or horror, but horror is gonna be my next one.
Are you open to like people improvising certain lines, saying certain ways, or you kind of like Quentin Tarantino, like, nope, this is what it is on the page. You say exactly word for word. Bam.
So what I learned, I took an acting class here. God bless his soul. He was a professional acting coach. He started
Scott Arthur Allen.
Yeah. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah,
and he's told me, he's like, oh, you're serious. Like, because I took the class serious, and I'm paying for it, But I was a serious actor. So what he told me is, like, what I've learned from him and other people is, like, look, just if you need to ad-lib, just do a couple lines, but make sure, get back to the point, if that makes any sense.
Right, the bullets, yeah.
The bullets.
Yeah.
Hit the bullet points, But now, as for the scripts, the moves I do, like, if I have to do ad-lib, like, don't do too much, 'cause sometimes the writers hate that.
Yeah.
Oh, the writers definitely hate that.
Yeah. And I was like,
we do a comedy show. The writers definitely hate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I try to stick to the script, but if we need to do some ad-lib, just don't do too much of it,
Yeah.
So, my question to you. Go ahead.
Your question. Yeah.
My question to you is, so I love networking.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Yep.
We all do.
Right.
But so, say in my head, when I'm talking to you and you say photography, in my head I was like, oh, let's see if I can pick your head. So this is what I do with everybody.
Sure.
And it's funny because like a couple of years back, I was in Springfield, Illinois for investment meeting, and I was on my way back to St. Louis, and I had a buddy call me, hey, can you go help out my friend out in Champaign, Illinois? And I'm like, what kind of help? So they needed a film crew. I was like, I didn't want to do it, but I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
So it was the most, I'm sure you've heard stories or you've been there where you encounter this kind of film set where first-time director, first-time writer.
Oh.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, no.
Hold on. It's a story to tell now. 'Cause
Yeah.
this is the second or third time I've encountered this before. I go up there and I'm like, all right, I'll be the first AD. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. They had all this big cameras like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What is this? And they flew some actress from New York. She was like Miss India or Miss US, I don't know, something like that. Wow. She was super nice. I was like, wow, how'd you guys get her? You know, we're in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Right.
I think Urban, Illinois, something like that. It's right close to Champaign, Illinois.
Yeah.
And I get on there and I'm like, what is this? I don't know anybody at all. Okay. So I met the DP and the other writer. Oh, it was the worst because the DP was pro. He's using a red camera. And then the gaffer, dude, he had all the equipment, older gentleman. And then there was like at least 3 professional people on there.
Okay.
Okay. This first-time director, I don't remember his name. He had an
we
Indian
don't
name.
say, yeah, we don't
I
say
don't. I couldn't remember anyway because he had an Indian name.
Uh-huh.
No offense to them. The DP booked like a coffee shop, like a Starbucks, and had us in the back room, and we had all that. It's just like he started yelling at everybody, and I'm like, "You got a free spot here."
Right.
And like, he was like, you know how you said that writers have to stick to the whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Like he was like, there is a storyboard right there. You do it. It's sometimes you can't do what the storyboard portrays.
Right.
You know?
Right, you get in a situation, the light's coming from a different window or whatever. Yeah, there's all
and
these
it's
different
like,
elements happening.
What? He starts yelling at everybody, and there's customers at the freaking other room, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck? So my point is, I asked the other writers, like, look, I don't want any credit if this takes off. I just want special thanks. That's it.
Right.
This is ridiculous. But what I did was, every project that I've been involved with, it's worked. My method works, but I don't know, it may not work for someone else. But I took those 3 professionals and brought it into my project.
Right.
And it just upscales my production.
Yeah.
Because I called them like, hey, I got this project. You'd be interested? And it's like, heck yeah, because you're awesome in that project. Unfortunately, project was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to work with you. So that's how I grab people. So like when you tell me photography, I'm thinking, ooh, maybe I can hire you as still photography for one of my film sets.
A stunt photographer?
Still photographer, yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah. So like, because like sometimes when I did Mariah, I reach out. He did a lot of headshots for me, and I brought a lot of models out there. Richard. Yeah. And he got tired of doing, and it was good money. Don't get me wrong. He's like, I got tired of doing wedding videographer and photo shoots. It's good money. It's just I need to do something different.
Yeah.
So when you reach out to me, Carlos, like, hey, can you do? I found him on Craigslist of all places.
Yeah. Still around? Is that still around?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, yeah. So can you do headshots? And like he did amazing. So I'm like, hey, you're doing pretty good. How would you like to be on this film set? All you got to do is still shots. He had a blast. Like he was calling his wife, like, dude, this is freaking awesome.
Wow.
So like those like still photographers, like it's something. I try to open a door for another avenue for that person. So if you're interested, I'll grab you, and I give you samples. Like, okay, this is what I'm expecting. You know, so I mean, you do whatever you want, but these are the pictures I'm looking for.
So are we talking like portraits for the stars, or like what do you
like behind the scenes on the film set?
I'm your guy. I love getting like those shots, like in the moment shots as well.
Yeah. Just like all I ask, like you'll sign a waiver, but all I ask is like, don't take a shot while we're filming. Just take a shot behind the scenes. That's all.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's what I do. Like when I'm out, I'm like, I listen. I'm like, oh, you do that? Well, what else do you do? I'll give you this. How about that? You know, so.
Yeah, my biggest pet peeve with what you're, I don't think you're doing it because what you're saying you're doing after the fact is when people kind of come on your set kind of poaching people. So they're there just to try to get people for their project. So my thing is if you're out where the cameras are off or you're out at lunch or you're after the filming dates or whatever, I don't care if you're trying to recruit, but it's like when we're trying to like work on a certain project, my thing is I just want everybody to kind of be on that mindset of what's going on.
Oh, no, I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. No, I don't interrupt your thing or whatever.
Yeah, but I've gotten that problem where people, they really didn't want to come on and help the film set. They just saw what was kind of going on, and they're like, oh, and then they came and talked about their project, trying to get people during while we're shooting over here. They're trying to like, you're doing a great job today. Well, I'm doing this, project. It's kind of like, well, let's just get this done first, and then we can
handing out business cards.
Like I love people networking. I built a network around it, but it's just like when you're working on a project, I just had that problem with certain people that kind of like just came to.
Well, see, that's another thing is like you learn every project you do, and then you enhance your contracts too, or your emails. Like, hey guys, we are concentrating on this film projects. I don't mind networking, but let's focus on getting this.
Right.
So like, I'll okay, like you say, like I said, you learn everything. Okay, what can I do to improve this? So yeah, like that's why I'm really picky on who I work with. We're here to get this out, the scene.
Yep.
I don't mind you guys networking. Don't get me wrong, I do it, but there's a fine line. Like if someone asks me, I'm on their film set, and someone else is asking me, hey Carlos, what do you do? What do you do? I'm like, hey, we can talk later, but right now we're doing this.
Right.
You know? So yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Another, I'm just kind of going with my pet peeves here. Another thing too is like, I always like the crew to kind of be in their own lane. So I don't want the lighting guy to come talk to me about the sound guy, or I don't want the sound guy to come talk to me about the lighting guy. Because at that point you probably feel the same way about your crew, because it seems like you have a really tight crew that you already put in trust. And I know this guy is going to do a good job. I know this guy is going to do a good job. And so,
well, another thing is like, there's a guy, the guy that shot my headshots this summer, Mike, and he's like, oh, actually, he shot at your studio. He was
Mike's a great filmmaker.
Mike Spector, I think.
Yeah, he's a great filmmaker.
And he's like, when I hired him, he's like, okay, I asked him like, okay, who do you want to? I have a budget, so who do you want to come on board? He brought two people, like Chris and I think
Chris Boyd
and Matt, I think.
Matt
Wiggle or
Waffle or
something like that. Yeah. He's like, can we bring those two guys? I was like, I mean, have you worked with them before? And he's like, yeah, I work really well with them. All right, bring them on board. Right. So like that's what I asked for. Like, yes, actors help working with other actors, but as far as like film crew, it's like I give you that option, give you that open door. Like, who do you want on board?
Right.
And I'm not a millionaire, but I'm willing to work with the budget. You know what I'm saying? So that's always helpful too.
Right. So one thing I want to pitch to is a great group on Facebook is Arch Films. Actually I thought I was on that, but anyways, I'm on it again now. So I was on it before. Oh, maybe I'm on a different profile. But anyways, that's a great group to be a part of it. So also definitely check out.
I'll approve it. Just
yeah. I hope so. After today. Now, wow. So definitely check out How to Cook with Carlos on YouTube here, as well as Ace Films, and be looking Arch Films. Jesus. Well, that's because we were talking about Ace Films. So
you're right.
Arch Films, and then be checking his Star Wars thing maybe out next year, and he's going to be coming out with some new projects, and so definitely looking forward to.
Thank you for having me, man. An hour. When you said hour, I was like, man, that's a long time. It went by fast.
It went by fast.
Yeah, so I appreciate it and it was good seeing you again, man.
Always a pleasure seeing you.
It was a blast. So. And it was good meeting Shane, right?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it.
Great photographer. Yep. Yeah. See.
Yeah. We'll network outside of this.
Yeah. So right. So definitely check out the Daily Dare with Dustin Diggs every day on YouTube by subscribing. Like the Artist United Network on Facebook, and we will see you later.
Peace.
we go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. Countdown, levitate, going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate. On time, never late. I grind, celebrate. No pump, fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day. Champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box, now I'm stepping up to home. Like straight out the sand lot, now I'm plotting on the globe. Go beast.